Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our Wednesday free workshop. Welcome. We'll just wait a few minutes and see if anybody join us live. If you're here, say hi in the comment box. We'd love to say hi to you guys. Lovely to have you here. Just take this off for now. Okay, there we go. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's topic is going to be transform your health, and we're going to be addressing symptoms and lifestyle changes to deal with chronic inflammation and insulin resistance. And let's see, let me share my screen with you guys. Here we go. Let's see, just want to make sure that you guys can see my screen, and it looks like we are good to go. All right, so would love to know if anyone here is dealing with either chronic inflammation or insulin resistance, right? So most of the what we call chronic conditions or certain diseases that deal with chronic inflammation and insulin resistance, they are things like, or diseases like type 2 diabetes, right? Insulin resistance, big one in insulin in type 2 diabetes. Cardiovascular disease, and that includes high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or dyslipidemia. How about PCOS, right? Polycystic ovarian syndrome. We have what we call NASH, which is non-alcoholic fatty liver, which affects not only people with diabetes, but a lot of other people. And then we have obesity, of course, which is quite rampant nowadays. And then we have things like Alzheimer's and dementia. And we have certain cancers such as breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, liver cancer, and many other cancers that have to do with chronic inflammation and insulin resistance. So today we're going to be talking about how to deal with those symptoms through your lifestyle by making just small changes. My name is Alexandra Santa Maria, and I am the founder of RX Health and Wellness. And we empower women over 40 to manage and deal with their chronic diseases like diabetes type 2 and all the other ones that I mentioned. And we like to help by not only addressing chronic inflammation and insulin resistance, but also by improving your gut microbiome. We use functional medicine principles. So I'm deeply committed to empowering women through innovative health strategies based on functional medicine principles. We'll explore how to manage and reverse common symptoms brought on by chronic inflammation and insulin resistance today. So today's workshop focuses on understanding and addressing chronic inflammation and insulin resistance when you already have a chronic diagnosis. So any of those disease states that I mentioned before. Last week I did a free workshop on what exactly is chronic inflammation and chronic and insulin resistance. So if you're not sure, I would invite you to go look up that that video. It should be here on live on Facebook, and it is also on my YouTube channel. And we'd love for you to join us in our YouTube channel. So again, so today we're going to discuss both chronic inflammation and insulin resistance, but already in terms of symptoms, what symptoms they're causing, and how to manage these symptoms so you can improve your medical condition, whatever diagnosis it is that you have. And please feel free to ask questions in the comment box, and I will address them as we go or at the end. All right, so let's continue. So one of the things that really is very apparent to a lot of us that go through functional medicine is that while our standard medical treatment for acute instances, that's when you have like an accident or you have a heart attack or a stroke, they're really good at managing those situations, those acute situations. However, standard medical treatments are not good at addressing chronic conditions. And again, those crossing, whether or not you identify yourself with having a chronic condition, if you have type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, PCOS, obesity, metabolic syndrome, NASH, Alzheimer's, dementia, and certain cancers, you are considered to have a chronic disease. So, and like I said, all of those are associated with chronic inflammation and insulin resistance. So chronic inflammation can manifest through various symptoms such as persistent fatigue, joint pain, and skin irritation. A lot of people start noticing conditions around their skin and they have no idea why. And a lot of these are due to chronic inflammation. So it's crucial for those who are already diagnosed with a chronic condition to recognize how these symptoms impact their health and what can be done to alleviate them. And that's what we're here to discuss today. So for those dealing with insulin resistance, those are symptoms like increased hunger, abdominal weight gain, and fatigue after meals can be particularly challenging. Recognizing these symptoms is the first step toward adjusting your lifestyle to manage them better. Now, you know, as we grow older, we tend to come upon a lot of these chronic diseases, especially if you're over 40. And a lot of them have to do with genetics and lifestyle. Well, while genetic puts you at an increased risk, it's not a death sentence per se. It's not something that says because you have a genetic disposition for some of these diseases that you're going to get them. Unfortunately, what happens is our lifestyle is what gets us into trouble and then gets us to have these diagnoses. So as we grow older, one, we don't need as much food as we did before in our younger years. So we continue to eat the same way and we tend to gain weight. And gaining weight increases your risk for things like insulin resistance, right? Having that weight also starts getting you into trouble with chronic inflammation. So if you are predisposed to having some of these diseases, you don't have a good, healthy lifestyle, and then you start gaining weight because whatever it is you're eating is not a healthy diet, and you're not exercising, you're not managing your stress, and you're not having a good night's sleep, all of which can put you at risk for all of these things, will increase your chances for getting chronic inflammation and insulin resistance. So living with a chronic inflammation and insulin resistance can exacerbate your chronic conditions. They are actually underlying causes of some of your conditions. Now, what causes chronic inflammation and insulin resistance is your nutrition. It's no exercise, not managing your stress, and of course, not having a good night's sleep. So, by making sure that you make those changes to your lifestyle, you can manage better these underlying conditions like chronic inflammation and insulin resistance, and you can even mitigate the impact that they can have on your overall well-being, meaning you can start not only improving those symptoms, but even reversing some of the chronic diseases that we mentioned. Okay, it just depends on how long you've had the diagnosis and how long you had chronic inflammation and insulin resistance, right? The longer you've had a chronic condition, the more likely it is that it has already caused some damage to your organs. So you can still improve the condition. You may not be able to get it to a point where you say it's reverse, which we don't say reverse, we say remission, because of all the complications and the damage that it has caused in your body. So functional medicine offers a unique approach to focusing on the root causes of your symptoms. So we believe things like a bad diet causes your disease. So a good nutrition diet or a good nutrition way of eating will get you out of those chronic diseases, will improve it, you can manage it better. And we think of food as medicine. So that, along with all the other stuff, all the other things that we need to do, improve your gut microbiome, your exercise, your stress level, and a good night's sleep. So for those with chronic diagnosis, this means a tailored treatment plan that addresses your specific needs and challenges. So you're not going to get all the symptoms, and you're not going to get, depending on your chronic disease, there are things that we focus on more than others. So for diabetes, while chronic inflammation is important, at first, the most important thing is insulin resistance, because that's what's making your sugars really high. So we would focus on insulin resistance and decreasing that, and then we would move to chronic inflammation and gut microbiome. Okay. So as a key component in managing chronic inflammation, again, is your diet. We always start with food because we believe that food is medicine. We'll discuss how some foods have anti-inflammatory properties. They can be incorporated into your daily meals to help reduce symptoms and promote healing. So some of those anti-inflammatory foods are foods that contain omega-3 fatty acids. So these are foods that are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, and they are excellent at fighting chronic inflammation. So some examples include fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel. And like we discussed last week, you need to be aware of the source of your food, right? We need to have clean sources of food. Unfortunately, a lot of fish come with high levels of mercury. So making sure that you get the least amount of mercury in your food is important. So making sure you're getting wild caught rather than farm. It doesn't completely guarantee that you won't have any mercury, but at least it improves your chances of having a better source of omega-3 fatty acids with less toxins. So for vegetarians, if you don't eat fish, things like flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts are also rich in omega-3 fatty acids. So incorporating these into your meals would be a great way to help that chronic inflammation. So leafy greens, dark leafy greens like spinach and kale, collard greens are packed with vitamins and minerals, especially vitamin E. And vitamin E plays a role in protecting the body. So it helps you stay away from these molecules called cytokines, which are what promotes that chronic inflammation. So they're called pro-inflammatory molecules called cytokines. So by eating a lot of vitamin E rich foods, you sort of diminish these molecules. Now, berries. Berries are not only delicious, but are also a powerhouse when it comes to having antioxidants, including anthocyanins, which reduce inflammation. So adding things like strawberries, blueberries, and blackberries to your diet will take advantage of these benefits. Now, berries are also low glycemic foods, so they are also good when it comes to insulin resistance. But we'll talk more about that later. Nuts. We already talked about nuts like almonds and walnuts. Again, good sources of where your food comes, but in general, nuts are a good source of protein and healthy fats, and they also have some anti-inflammatory properties. Now, the caution is, as with any fat, even good sources of fat, like good fats, you have to be careful with the amounts that you take, especially if you have cardiovascular disease or diabetes, or even a fatty liver. So you just want to make sure, just be careful on the amount that you eat. So incorporating anti-inflammatory foods into your meals, it's actually pretty easy. You just need to start focusing a little bit more on how to integrate them into your meals. Once you get used to it, it'll become secondhand. So, for example, for breakfast, you can start the day with a smoothie that includes berries with a tablespoonful of flax seeds. And I usually tell my patients to grind the flax seeds. Some people don't like those flax seeds. Some people can't take seeds at all if they have certain conditions. So just be aware of that. Or you can substitute for chia seeds. They're still seeds, so if you can't have seeds, just leave them out. Alternatively, a serving of oatmeal topped with walnuts and slices of apple can be good also for anti-inflammatory benefits and also for energy. Sorry, there's a little fly going around and it's driving me nuts. That's what you get when you start getting warmer weather, right? And my husband loves to have the door opened. Okay, so for lunch, prepare a hearty salad with mixed leafy vegetables, leafy greens, slices of grilled salmon, and you can sprinkle some nuts on top of it. You can use a little bit of olive oil with lemon juice for dressing, both of which are good for anti-inflammatory, and they're good for inflammation. And for dinner, you can opt for a piece of baked mackerel or trout, accompanied by a side of steamed vegetables like broccoli and carrots, which are also beneficial for reducing inflammation. For snacks, you can keep it simple and healthy with options like carrot sticks with hummus, or a handful of mixed nuts or fresh berries. And I always tell everyone to just go slow. You know, we are not good at making changes. And when we try to make a lot of changes all at once, it's really hard to keep up. So I would advise to just take one meal and start trying to make over that one meal and then moving to another once you have that one sort of settled and part of your daily habit. And that can take anywhere from, you know, as little as a month to as much as 8 months, depending on who you ask. All right. So, while incorporating anti-inflammatory foods is also important to avoid or minimize taking in those foods that cause inflammation. Those processed foods are like the biggest thing that can cause inflammation. So you want to stay away from processed food, sugary treats as much as you can, and excessive red meat, as these can actually increase your inflammation in overall in your body. So you want to make sure you kind of diminish those foods while you incorporate more of the anti-inflammatory foods. Staying hydrated can help you decrease your inflammation. Water helps you flush out toxins and can lead to less inflammation by getting rid of those toxins. So again, aiming for 8 to 10 glasses of water per day is good. And if you add a little bit of lemon or a cucumber for extra flavor and nutrients, can also help you with some extra vitamin C. So the goal here is not to make changes to everything overnight, but to gradually adjust your diet and in ways that are sustainable for you and enjoyable as well. Every small step toward incorporating anti-inflammatory foods can lead to big improvements in your overall health. So again, you can start with either the biggest meal of your day. If it's dinner, start with dinner. If it's lunch, start with lunch. Or if you rather have an impactful breakfast that can set you up to have a good rest of the day, that's a great idea as well. Okay, so dietary management is crucial for controlling insulin resistance as well. We'll cover how to stabilize your blood sugars through the choices that you make in your foods. So we are going to focus on foods that are low glycemic index foods that have high fiber. Okay, so carbs are not the enemy. So you get energy from three sources: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Now, we don't want to overdo proteins as we grow older because we don't want to affect our kidneys. And we want to be careful with fats because if you have a chronic disease that already has insulin resistance or chronic inflammation, that can increase your risk for cardiovascular disease. And if you already have cardiovascular disease or diabetes, then you need to be more careful about your fat intake. So carbohydrates are not bad. They're just two different types of carbohydrates. You have your starchy carbohydrates and then your non-starchy carbohydrates. Overall, you want to get about 80% of your intake should be from the non-starchy type carbohydrates, which are mostly vegetables and fruits, and then only about 20% or less for the starchy ones. Again, you want to stay away from processed foods, ultra processed foods, anything that's sugary, anything that will spike your blood sugar, because that will increase your insulin resistance. So what exactly is the glycemic index? The glycemic index is a measure of how quickly your blood sugar goes up in your blood. So there are foods that will make your blood sugars spike very quickly, very rapidly, and very high, while other foods have a less impact and your sugars only slightly go up, and the spike is not as high. So examples of low glycemic foods to incorporate are more like quinoa, oats, barley, and whole grains. You still want to be careful with the amounts that you consume, especially at the beginning when you're switching your diet. And if your sugars are spiking. So if you have type 2 diabetes, or you're measuring the levels of your sugar in the blood, and you see that they're spiking a lot, you have to be careful with the amount of even these low glycemic foods that you intake until you have a more level blood sugars. But they're still good. So whole grains, oats, barley, and quinoa. Just be careful at the beginning until your sugars get more steady and not as high. Things like legumes such as lentils and chickpeas are great. And of course, non-starchy vegetables. The more colorful your vegetables and the more of these that you consume, the more phytonutrients and more anti-inflammatory vitamin and mineral sources that you'll get. So leafy greens, broccoli, peppers into your meals, anything that's very colorful, the purple, reds, yellow, greens, it's really important to incorporate all of those into your diet. Now, let's talk about fiber. Fiber is probably one of the best things that you can do to control your sugars and make them more steady. So while it's natural to have a little bit of an increase in your blood sugars after we eat, we just don't want that big peak, big amount of high sugars and those peaks that last a long time, right? One slight peak that will get you back to your normal blood sugar. And this is what's going to keep you from getting complications. So fiber is important because it slows down the digestion of those starchy carbohydrates and the absorption of sugars from your food, helping to control blood sugar levels. A diet high in fiber can improve your body's ability to regulate blood sugars and reduce impact of insulin resistance. So fiber is so important that unfortunately in the American diet or the SAD diet, the amount of fiber is very little. We want a good amount of fiber up there in the 20, 30 grams per day. And you want to make sure that you are eating enough fiber throughout the day. So foods that are high in fiber focus on adding things like apples, berries, oranges, vegetables, whole grains, legumes. These are all good sources of fiber. And they help manage your sugars, but they also support your digestive health, which again, we talked a little bit about the microbiome, but we're not addressing that today. So you want to make sure that you get enough fiber. So things like flax seeds and even chia seeds are good sources of fiber. So you can start your day with a bowl of steel cut oats. You don't want that instant type oats. You want steel cut oats that has like the whole oat, top with berries and flaxseed, or you can make a smoothie made with like Greek yogurt, some spinach, and a small green apple. For lunch, you can have quinoa and mix it into your salad. and try to get into your salad more than just lettuce and tomatoes. So put in some vegetables in there, maybe some colorful vegetables that will help with, again, getting those phytonutrients and antioxidants. And have like a lemon tahini dressing that can be both satisfying and good for stabilizing your blood sugars. How you eat your meals is also important. If you eat your vegetables first, then your protein, and lastly, anything that has a little bit of starch, anything that may make your sugars go up a little bit, you can minimize the impact of that meal by making sure you have a lot of fiber first, then your protein, and then lastly, whatever else you're eating. So, prepare dinners with a base of lean proteins like grilled chicken or fish. Um, Put aside of steamed vegetables or roasted vegetables. Serving whole grains and legumes again. Beans are great. Um, for example, grilled salmon with a side of farro or an asparagus offers a balanced low GI glycemic meal. For snacks, you can combine a small amount of protein with fiber to maintain energy and blood. Again, I would just caution people about snacks. As we grow older, we don't need as much food. When you have insulin resistance, you tend to get very hungry all the time. You tend to want to eat, especially those foods that are not good for you, have a lot of cravings. So at first, using snacks to manage that is great. But as your sugars start stabilizing, I would move away from any extra snacks to avoid any weight gain. So for snacks, opt for things that have high fiber content, and they're going to give you lots of energy, such as apples with peanut butter or almond butter, a small hand of nuts with a few whole grain crackers. But again, just be careful how many crackers. So when you go out, when we dine out, unfortunately, a lot of food comes with a lot of overprocessed foods, tons of salt, additives, and things that we actually don't need. So when you go out, emphasize on getting whole foods. Ask for dressings and sauces on the side. Opt for steam or grilled or baked dishes rather than fried or deep fried. Try to choose more vegetables and salads instead of fries and mashed potatoes, which tend to be a lot of processed foods. All right, long-term management. Remember, the goal here is consistency and blood sugar management. So monitor how different foods affect your blood sugar. And if you have diabetes, I would highly recommend checking your blood sugars or having a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor, and that can show you what the different foods do for your sugars. Okay. So beyond diet, other lifestyle factors play a significant role in managing your metabolism. We'll discuss the importance of physical activity, quality sleep, and effective stress management techniques. So exercise is probably one of the best things that you can do for insulin resistance, right? It can help you decrease insulin resistance. It can help manage your weight and keeping your weight stable. It can help you get you off like that mood or anxiousness, depression type modality that a lot of people with chronic illness get into. It can give you a boost of energy, and it's overall the best thing for you to do for your long-term health. So, different types of exercises. You want to concentrate on aerobic exercises to decrease blood sugars, but you also need to keep muscle. As we grow older, we lose muscle, so you want to do resistance exercises, and you want to keep your flexibility. So doing exercises for flexibility is also important. Quality of sleep is so important. It can affect your immune system. So as you have less and less good sleep, your body gets more stressed out, increases not only chronic inflammation, but insulin resistance. So, and your immune system suffers. So you want to make sure you're having a good quality of sleep, making sure you have a bedtime routine, making sure your environment where you're going to sleep is cool enough, dark enough, no electronics, very, very important. And then stress management is very, very important to reduce chronic inflammation. So, stress plays a significant role in disrupting your hormonal balance, and it can exacerbate symptoms of chronic conditions that have insulin resistant and chronic inflammation. On top of it, as women over 40, a lot of women start going through perimenopause and menopause. I already went through that. So not only does the fact that you're going through perimenopause and menopause can exacerbate insulin resistant and chronic inflammation because of the change in hormones. The chronic inflammation and insulin resistance you already have can exacerbate the symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. So effectively managing your stress in the long term is going to make you feel better. It's going to help you balance your hormones better, and it will reduce further risk of complications. So chronic stress leads to prolonged secretions of hormones such as cortisol, which is the stress hormone, which can disrupt your hormonal levels, including insulin, thereby worsening, again, insulin resistance and leading to increased inflammation. Beyond hormones, stress can affect nearly every system in your body, and it is crucial for your digestive system, which is the main immune system that keeps you healthy. So making it crucial to manage your overall health is managing your stress. So some techniques are mindfulness and meditation. So mindfulness and meditation are effective tools for reducing mental stress by focusing on the present moment and being aware of what's going on around you, which helps you break the cycle of chronic stress response. Start with just 5 minutes a day of seated meditation, focusing on your health. Just scan your body, how you feel from head to toe, being aware of what's going on with you. There are many free apps available to guide you through short meditation sessions as well. We already talked about physical activity is great for stress, relieving stress and reducing cortisol levels and boosting those endorphins, which are the feel-good hormones. So incorporate activities you enjoy, such as yoga, walking, swimming, anything that will get you moving. There's also the deep breath exercises, which can help activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which it can counteract the stress response. So try 4-7-8 breathing, which is Breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and breathe out for 8. You can also do the box breathing. So breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. And just repeat this cycle 4 times whenever you feel stress. We talked a little bit about scanning. You can also do progressive muscle relaxation. That's where you tense and then release your muscle groups one by one. You go from top to bottom to release tension and stress. All right. So having a regular routine that incorporates any of these is a great way to reduce your stress. You can start with as little as a minute or to 5 minutes a day. And it's a great way to de-stress if you're having a hard time at work, for example. So, all right, let's see. So we talked already a little bit about the benefits, decreasing chronic inflammation, improving metabolic function, enhancing your mental health, because holistic, we want to encompass everything, mind and body. It boosts your immune system, it improves your quality of life. So stress management is really, really important, especially if you're going through menopause. All right, so that brings us to an end. If you guys have any questions, we'll go into questions in a minute. I just want to take a couple minutes to invite you to consider RX Health and Wellness for your needs. If you have one of these chronic diseases that we mentioned, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, PCOS, NASH, obesity, Alzheimer's, dementia, in certain cancers like breast cancer, ovarian cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer, or you're surviving of any of these. It is really important to keep your chronic inflammation and your insulin resistance low. So we are starting a new membership for women over 40 with these chronic diseases. Will help you get into the best shape before starting to go through perimenopause and menopause. Like I mentioned, it can exacerbate that process, and that process can exacerbate your chronic disease as well. And then at the end, you have a higher risk for cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis, and many other things that you can mitigate with a great lifestyle. And again, we don't focus just on the physical, we also do mind and body. We talk a lot about mindfulness and mindset. Mindset is so important because you need to believe that you can get your disease under control and possibly even put it into remission in order to do that. Because if you believe it, you can do it. If you don't believe it, then you won't be able to do it. So we'd like to invite you to join our new Empower Wellness membership. We provide resources, community support. We're doing a founding membership, which means that you will help us sort of shape the membership into what you need and what will give you and provide all the things that you need as well as, not just education, but resources. It's going to be focused greatly on community support, having a tribe, having a group of people that are going through the same thing, a group of women who are yourself and are focusing on your health, it's important. They'll give each other support and guidance and even be accountability buddies, or like we like to say, transformational buddies. So if you'd like to join us, please go to rxhealthandwellness.com. I can put that in the comment. We'd love to see you. We'd love to have you join us. And then the second thing that I want to mention is, and wellness.com, is that we are going to be also introducing a membership just for type 2 diabetes. And now you can start with our founding member wellness, Empower Wellness membership. And as being a founding member, you'll get access to everything that's offered in the Empower and the diabetes type 2 solution membership. So this is a great time to join and start getting in making changes. We believe in small changes rather than large changes. We believe in improvements, small improvements over yesterday, last month, last year. Comparing yourself to yourself rather than comparing to others. Everybody's journey is completely their own and different from others, but there may be some similarities that can give insight into what other people are doing and what has helped them. So we'd love you to join our community, be part of this group. Go check out RX Health and Wellness under membership. Is the founding members membership, and we'll be coming out with the diabetes type 2 solution membership probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. But we'd love to have you join now so that you can start your journey of transformation. All right. So if you have any questions, we'd love to answer any questions you have. We'd love to discuss how you can start making these changes and incorporating some of the things that we talked about. Getting knowledge about your disease state and how to improve symptoms is a great way to start. But to truly become empowered, you need to start making changes. And this is where a lot of us have a little bit of a hard time. I can tell you because it happens to me. It's something that I struggle with every day, and having that support system is really, really important. So if you guys have any question about the presentation, about the membership, put it in the comment, send me a DM through either Facebook or Instagram. You can also send me an email to support@rxhealthandwellness.com. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day and go start making changes and reducing those symptoms that come with chronic inflammation and insulin resistance. Have a great day. Bye-bye.